first things first, let's clean this. I got my little handy dandy Christmas present. I'm just gonna vacuum all of this. Then I will begin the painting slash prepping to paint process. Ugh. Get all that dust. All that dust. Gonna get all that dust. Doesn't even matter, honestly. Ugh. Okay. Ugh. Okay, I don't like these. There. Right into tiny trash. Tiny dog. Alright. Hey, Zero. Hey, I'm busy. You. I'll just vacuum that back up. Yeah. Come here, you little. I'm gonna have better plants. Spookier plants. Those are 2 Easter. Plants gone. Into tiny trash. Okay. You're pretty clean. I am fine with that. It doesn't have to be super clean. I am going to stain these shingles darker. I'm going to do darker on the edges and in the crevasse here. It's not really a crevasse, it's really just like a seam. That should give it the illusion this will be slightly brighter and that'll be darker. It'll make it pop. It'll give it more dimension whenever you're looking at it, and especially whenever I'm taking photos and videos of it, which, I mean, nowadays, that's really what matters to most people, right? I mean, I don't care. I'm just enjoying it. If someone else comes over and wants to take a picture of it, I guess I may as well make it look better for that. I'm going to paint everything as my base color, and that, well, what are you? This is just some paint I have laying around. I might have to go to the store. Let's see how that works. And then all of the edges of like, so the wood will be all the base coat of this, and then I want to give it texture, right? So everything, nothing's going to be just like a flat color. And then all around the edges will be the darker gray. I think the name is zinc. These don't have like a blue undertone, although they might, because this is blue and it kind of looks similar. And then I have my black, and then I can lighten them with this creamy white leftover. I don't even know where this came from. It's probably like a freebie from a friend. Hopefully everything works out. Let's see what happens. I'm realizing now I want to pull these plastic window pieces off because I don't want to get paint on them. I don't think I want to get paint on them. I mean, I could reuse them theoretically, right? I could make some cool window thing. So I'm just gonna pull them off preemptively. They're so bad. Oh god, it's so loud. I'm gonna pull them all off and not make you suffer watching me pull them off because it's really loud and there's a bunch of them, and then I'll make painting it easier and I don't have to be all precise and perfect and careful because I don't think I want to get paint on them, but better safe than sorry. First, what I'm going to do is my base coat, as we previously discussed. There was some like gunk on here, so I kind of just wiped it off, and it is a little sticky, but I'm gonna do so many different paint effects on here. I don't think it's gonna matter, but I guess I will report back to you if it does matter. To start, this is a lot of space to cover. I'm gonna start with my foam brush to get the first coat on, and then I can work down in size of brushes. This is just to save time for getting that first coat on. And there's things like this. It's like, whoever built this house was either drunk or not very dexterous. Maybe just they've seen better days. And then these are at the Dollar Tree. You can get a pack of them. And oh wow, look, it does kind of have a blue undertone. I'm just going to use this foam brush because they're really cheap, and then I can throw it away and I don't have to worry about washing out my brushes. I always grew up using these as a quick fix to things, and then you just throw them away and you don't have to worry about properly cleaning your nice, more expensive brushes for things like the base coat. Obviously, if it's your final coat, you're going to want to use a nicer product, but we're going to have some paint effects in there, so I don't even know how much it'll matter. Don't want to bore you with me talking about nonsensical things. I hope you enjoy this really fast version of me painting, which is gonna take a while for me. And this angle, getting good angles is really hard, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a wide angle, but then it's a tall thing, so it's kind of, you know, like counterintuitive. Long form content, not short form content, so you gotta do it wide. Okay, let's go. Yeah, it's kind of clogged. The front side, there's a lot less facade and way more roof. It's actually going to be really important for me to make sure that my roof is very flattering because you're going to see a lot of it from the front, and I'm definitely going to have the haunted house on the little Lazy Susan turntable that it was on. Whenever I have it displayed, I want to make it easy so that it can just be rotated. I'm just going to get all up in here with this light gray, which it's a lot lighter than I was hoping it was going to be, but again, it's the highlight, so I wanted to make sure that the highlight was my base coat, and then I will come in and really, really get it nice. I'm not a painter, and I'm not good at painting, like techniques such as this, right, which is like blending, but I'm gonna learn. I'm gonna use water. I can always go to YouTube University and figure that out. It will be a very steep learning curve. It's something I'm not experienced with. I've never tried to do this before, but I'm hoping that all things considered, my ability to research and practice, right? Because it's just paint. Like if you don't like it, you just paint over it. It's not like I'm just gonna make some huge mistake painting. I might not like what I do, so you just try it until you like it. I'm gonna just paint this baby up. It needed a fresh coat of paint regardless. I had to give it, you know, this base coat, so I'm just gonna get this really fast. Yeah, that's fine. Be easier to paint. Okay. Three, two, one, and this is the base coat, everybody. I apologize for the sounds of rain and or thunder that may happen, but I just wanted to show you the update now. Oh, spooky. I got all of the trim painted with a black kind of mixed with gray. I filmed it, I thought, but apparently I did not hit my record button, which is okay because we're going to do all kinds of new fun painting techniques. I've seen a lot of people where they just paint it and then that's it, but I want to try to make this look like faux, not necessarily plaster, but whatever they used back in the olden days, because this haunted house is more like a witch's cottage, to be more precise. I'm going to have moss in all of the areas where the two pieces of the roof meet, because that is naturally where moss would form, and I'll have it under like the eaves and everything, but I got it pretty well painted, and I tried not to use just a flat black. I mix it with a gray so that whenever I was painting, I would get like streaks, just because I wanted it to look old and aged. I'm so sorry that I didn't capture painting all of the trim black, but that's okay because we are going to be doing some really cool, crazy painting effects on the side here. Let's get started. I guess I'll start on the side. I never want to start on the front first, right? Like whenever you're doing something new for the first time and you're not really experienced or good at it, you don't want to do the front side. You always want to do the back side and then the sides, and not the area that people are going to see most often. I'm going to do baking soda and water and paint so that the viscosity of the paint is a lot less, so that I can blend a lot better, because acrylic paint is very fast drying and very difficult to blend whenever it's drying that quickly. Then I'm going to go from the darkest area all the way in. So I think what I'm going to do, because I don't want to get any of that effect on this actual like trim here, I'm going to tape off the trim, and hopefully that doesn't mess it up. But if it does, it's not a big deal because I can just put moss there and or touch it up. And then I'm going to go dark out to in, and this will be like the lightest, so it'll look highlighted. In pictures, it'll give like that really cool effect instead of it all just being kind of like blotchy. Hopefully it looks good. If it doesn't, I will just paint over it. Future me, which you'll see in this video, will be staining the roof and sanding this here and staining this because it's really nice and dirty, and I left it pretty dusty because if paint got on it, it's easier to wipe paint off of dirt than it does whenever it gets in the wood and like the dust is on top of the wood. Long story short, this baby is gonna get really, really cool, not really fast. It literally took me 3 days to get to this point. It is so time consuming to paint all of this. I'm glad I didn't include it in there for you because this would have been a very boring video. But now the fun part begins. Let's do it. I am actually recording this time, not hitting the stop button and thinking I'm recording, like whenever I painted all the black trim, so apologies on that. I got this darker than the other side, and I prefer it significantly more than the lighter side because I'm obviously going dark and working my way in light. It's just the primer color, and because it's the primer color, now I know I like a darker color opposed to a lighter color. So now I know I want to go darker. This was just like an experimental color. What I'm going to do here, and a great way you can save money on tape for crafting is it comes in different widths. So if you get a more narrow width, you get more tape length for a lesser price. Anyways, so I digress. That doesn't really matter. I want to put painter's tape along the edges, and it doesn't have to be perfect because any spot that gets messed up is where the moss is going to go. I'm going to use moss to hide all of my mistakes and errors. That takes a lot of the stress off of me for trying to get it perfect. I'm just going to, I never rip it first whenever I'm actually painting in the house, but that's going to be a little tricky. Just going to get it as like close as possible. Now, if you do choose to do this method that I'm doing, which I don't even know if I would suggest it, but I'm not, experienced at painting dollhouses in any way, shape, or form. I painted past the line so that there was no weird light spot, and then I didn't have to worry about getting all precise in there. I'm just gonna be really careful. I'm gonna try to not get the actual tape on the siding, but if I do, and I might, it's not the end of the world. I can just continue to readjust it, so. Oh my God, shut up. I just want to film something, and I can't because there's lawn people. Anyone else? You feel me? You feel me? You feel me? Yay, the lawn people finally left. Sorry about the mess. What I did here is I have on my tray, and this is not a tutorial, this is probably not the right way to do it, I bet there's better ways. I have my baking soda, then I did a teaspoon mixed in with some paint. So, I'm gonna take a teaspoon-ish of some baking soda, gonna mix it in with my paint. I'm going to use black paint for the edges, and then as I'm painting inward, I'm going to add a lighter gray and some brown because I wanted to have a brown undertone. The roof has a nice brown tone to it, so I want it to be warm. And by warm, I mean I want it to be on the warmer side of the spectrum. I don't want it to be cool, so I don't want it to have a blue undertone. I want it to have a brown undertone. I'm gonna mix a little bit of brown in. Hopefully it looks good. And then I have my gray, which this has a blue undertone, which is why I wanted to add the brown to cut out all of the blue. And I'm kind of just gonna mix as I go. But first, what I'm going to do here is I'm gonna use my handy dandy fancy mixer all up, fold it in. Then make sure that your brush stays wet in water, because it helps with blending. The gray. So we're kind of making like a gradient of color. Hopefully it's good. And again, it's paint, so if you don't like it, you can just paint right over it. So the baking soda will add a plaster-ish texture, but you always want texture whenever you're working on a craft project. Not just visual, but texture. So let's see how this turns out. Darker on the outside, and then a really junky brush so that you can really swirl that in there. I'm going to do the outside, and then I'm going to blend it inward lighter. The brush is too dry. Too many lines. Really want a slurry. Crinkle up the paper towel. Yeah, there we go. It's kind of dry. You want it wet, but not all the way wet because you don't want to pull off all of the paint. And then you can give it that stippled effect, I guess. This is how I'm doing it. No right or wrong way, but there is always a better way. I kind of taped off the front side. I'm just going to try to be careful and see if I can kind of get in here. Yeah. Yeah. Come here. Yeah. Why are you doing this to me? Rude. Woo. I don't even know if the camera's gonna pick this up. I'm gonna start here. Oh yes, that's the richness I'm going for. Trying not to cover it, but you know how that goes. And it doesn't matter if this gets on the paint because I'm gonna touch up all the paint. So yeah, I think I'll do one side, let it dry, and then I'll do the other side. I gotta make sure I like it. Or I'll just wing it. Now it's done. What's done is done. Alright. Just gonna do it all. Here is the final reveal. I didn't get the door done because I have bigger plans for it and I do not have the tools to get what I want done on the door, but I think that the moss turned out quite beautifully. And the sides of the house, they turned out quite nicely. I do like that I highlighted the center. I think that that was a very smart move. And restaining the roof the same color as the base, I think really that added a lot of saturation that I was going for that the house just didn't have before. And I do like how it kind of matches this mid-century modern look with that walnut color. But thanks so much for watching. I wish I could have gotten the windows done, but I just could not acquire enough plastic in time, and this project has consumed me for weeks. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you being here. Leave a like if you liked this video, and leave a like if you hated this video. Have a great day.